I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello, good evening, Chris Iawn. Right, warm welcome to everybody. We felt there was a special podcast was needed for the Ospreys series, and what is a very hot summer, and we're not talking about the weather. I'm sure, like you were looking forward to a bit of a break from rugby to recharge the batteries, to come back in September, back into the new season, refreshed and excited. But the WRU had different plans for us long-suffering fans. In the case of Jac and Zach, holidays and work mean they can't join us. And then also, in my instance, the semi-retirement from the Erie podcast, well, at least it lasted a bit longer than Nick White's retirement from international rugby. So I'm back, we're back, so let's get on with it.
This is the Ospreys Hour.
Good evening, Josh. Hi, Grant. How are things? Having a good summer?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Enjoying the nice hot weather. Yeah, looking forward to talking about the Ospreys again. I've missed them.
Yeah, it feels as if the season hasn't ended, really, is it? No, Ospreys games might have finished, but yeah, the Lions carried on. WRU have carried on. Scarlets and Ospreys news and was carried on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rugby break at some point. I think it's just going to wrap back up, isn't it? Effectively with today's announcements as well.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the Lions. Not obviously, but particularly the performance of our captain, Jac Morgan. Gentlemen, he did all right, didn't he?
I thought he was superb. In terms of the test matches, based on his performances in the lead-up games, I thought he'd be starting. It looks like Farrell had his sort of strategy lined up beforehand, and he picked players he trusted, and fair play, they did deliver. But based on form, okay, I thought Jac was first choice 7. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Man of the match performance against the Reds, and every time you saw him, he just did not let the side down, and proved why he should have been there in the first place and why he was selected. I thought he was brilliant.
I see it from two sides, to be honest. I think from one perspective, selfishly, everyone now is going to realise how good a player he is, and see what all Ospreys fans already knew about him. So I feel like he's going to be getting a lot of offers from France and England off the back of his performances for the Lions. But from an Ospreys perspective and from a Welsh perspective, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He had a lot of pressure on him because he was the only Welshman left on tour, and I thought he more than delivered. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Every opportunity he got, he looked like one of the best players on the field. Yeah, he was so impressive, and he'll hopefully have a bit of a spring in his step now when he goes back into Ospreys camp, and to have a player like that in the region, it'll attract fans, and it'll attract other quality players to want to play with him.
Yeah, and I think he, to add to that, he represents the region, Wales, so well. What he is, he's a humble, genuine guy, proud of where he comes from, proud of his roots, proud of the fact he's a Welsh speaker. And and what was also interesting, I'm picking up on Josh's point, if you did follow any of the sort of social media or comments and so on, those who don't get a chance like us to watch him week in, week out, those perhaps understandably who are English and watch the Prem, how quickly they realise, yeah, this lad is something special. So all we can do is, Jac, say thank you so much, and you and your family should be very proud of the way you played and your contribution to what was a successful tour.
Having said that, did you see that clip from Josh van der Fleer?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Go on.
So I think it was like reading out player quotes. And I think Jac Morgan basically had a little dig at Josh van der Fleer for being the only Leinster player not to make the test squad. And then I think Josh van der Fleer then went back and went, well, you've won more games for the Lions this year than you have for Wales and Ospreys combined. And I was like, oh, no. But it's not strictly true.
It's not strictly true, no.
No, he's won loads of games for the Ospreys. So.
I had a look at some of the stats, okay, and the fact that Josh van der Fleer ends up as third choice 7 is absolutely remarkable, isn't it? Former World Player of the Year to end up as third choice. And looking at the actual performances, I wouldn't have expected it, okay, but yeah, he probably was third choice in the end based on the performances out there. But Jack made some obvious contributions to games in terms of some clear outs and tackles and some charges, which Josh will comment on a bit further. But I've looked at some of the stats behind his performances, and Jac Morgan's hitting a ruck every 4.2 minutes for that entire Lions series. That is an absolutely mental statistic, okay? The work rate of the guy, the hard work in terms of clearing out the ball again and again and making sure it's good quality, quick ball for the Lions, that the bloke is amazing.
As you say, Grant, it's the effectiveness of the clear out as well. It's giving Lions quick ball, and a lot was made of that final clear out at the end of the second test. But for me, it couldn't have been a more perfect clear out. The margin for error was tiny because the Australian player was so low to the ground. It was a really difficult clear out not to make contact with the head, and under that sort of pressure at that point in the test match, to be able to deliver with that accuracy was, I thought absolutely superb, and was test match winning intervention.
Okay, unfortunately, that's the end of the rugby we can talk about. So we have to talk about off the field goings on. Like the weather, as I said, it's been very, very hot. It's only a week ago, if we do things chronologically, that Swansea Council Planning Committee met on August the 5th, and they thankfully approved the Ospreys application to redevelop the historic ground at St Helens. And if you remember from when we did the podcast before, we went into detail about that. But basically, there were two options which went before the council, option A and option B. One was option A was for a permanent stand on Mumbles Road, or the south side of the ground, and option B was for a temporary stand. And all the rest was the same. If you remember, with the removal of the floodlights, moving the pitch to be closer to the terrace, roofing the terrace, and temporary stands then at the Mumbles end and the city end. There were also two phases to that. That was the first phase, and the second phase was the training barn and so on, moving from Llandarcy, where the Ospreys currently train. That went forward, and that was unanimous. But I think the cat was put a little bit amongst the pigeons, that there were some late objections which were discussed in the council meeting, and they come in very, very late, as I say. And one of those was from Crease 16, Creasing Pumtheg, or as you may know it as Scarlet Supporters Trust. I think there was one individual as well, but it was basically the same letter, which was that I think has surprised people. And then shortly afterwards, then the politicians from Carmarthenshire and West Wales got involved, talking about, should this go ahead and so on. And then followed then by members of the Senate and MPs from the Swansea side getting involved. I don't think we're going to dwell on it too much on this evening's pod. If you are interested in the details, and this is the only time I'll ever do it to Osprey fans, I would recommend the Saucepans and Sidesteps podcast, which they did last week, where Hugh and Lee looked into this. I think it's called The Crazy Week. And I think in fairness, they did it very objectively and very fairly. And that, like this podcast, it's available on your normal providers. So guys, any views, please?
Well, first of all, it's really positive that we had unanimous approval. It's really good news. It's really good news we've gone for option A as well, in terms of the proper permanent stand. That's all fantastic news. In terms of the objection that went in from Crease 16, our supporters club work closely with Crease 16. We know the guys. quite well. It was a shock. That's all I'd say. We did not see that coming.
Josh, anything you want to add?
No, nothing from me.
And it's been very interesting how that has then played out as well, because in fairness to members of that supporters club and Scarlet fans in general, I think there was like Grant, and I think the Ospreys, they were surprised too that the stance was taken. But there we are. That's what happened. And especially when you think what's happened today as well. Obviously, we are aware and we were very much looking forward to discussing it this evening. We had planned to record, but we had a little bit of a curveball coming in that the season tickets for the 25-26 season will be based. We will be based as a team at the Brewery Field Bridgend. And I'm going to pass over to Grant to make further comment on that and perhaps give a little bit more detail from the actual announcements that the Ospreys have made.
Yeah. In terms of the announcement that we were going to Bridgend, it starts off an Ospreys headline, which says Ospreys sign lease to make St Helens their new home, which again is really positive news. And the news kicks off. The Ospreys are delighted to confirm that they've agreed to finalise a lease to make St Helen Sports Ground the club's new long-term home. This announcement follows last week's news that Swansea Council's planning committee unanimously approved the redevelopment plans. I shall jump on. We've talked about the new permanent stand, that's included in there. The intention is always and has been to deliver an outstanding experience for fans, partners, players and the community once St Helens is brought back to life. Having reviewed the timelines, including those for the proposed new south stand, we've decided that our intentions are best achieved by planning to have everything ready in time for the start of the 26-27 season. So that's a change from the original plans to be ready around Christmas, this Christmas. We've therefore decided to make the decision to play the 25-26 season at the Brewery Field in Bridgend. This one season relocation will allow all redevelopment work to be completed, ensuring the club and supporters return to a fully finished St Helens in time for the 26-27 season. To help oversee the development, our commercial team will be moving into St Helens this September. So in the next coming weeks, I think initially the commercial team, and they'll quickly be followed by Ospreys in the community, will be moving into St Helens as the base. Confirmation of our plans mean that we can now put 25-26 season membership on sale. Details and for priority access for existing season ticket holders and deposit holders have been emailed out today. Now, there may be some, and this is not the Ospreys official statement, there may be some confusion around emails in terms of the amount of emails that have gone out today. Some people who are existing season ticket holders might have had an email saying they've given a £50 deposit and vice versa. But you can imagine, given the news has come out today, the Ospreys have been inundated with queries just about the news in the first place, let alone any question saying I might have had the wrong email come through. But thank God, season ticket holders, existing season ticket holders, don't go on sale for another 2 days. Okay, so I think tomorrow details will follow for existing season ticket holders in terms of how they can renew. Let me carry on with the official announcement and move on to the statement. Work will be carried out at the Brewery Field to improve the experience for all supporters, including the installation of a new stand to provide additional seating and improve provision for disabled supporters. Now, I know that the stand that's being put in the Bridgend behind the posts is one of the stands that's planned to go behind one set of posts at St Helens going forward. So the stand will be going in for one season and then it'll be picked back up, relocated and put back in St Helens where it should stay. Okay. Osprey CEO Lance Bradley commented, "We're thrilled to have reached an agreement to finalise the lease for St Helens and look forward to seeing the redevelopment begin. This marks another important milestone as we work to transform the iconic stadium into a modern sports facility that will serve not only the Ospreys but also Swansea RFC, Swansea University and the wider community." While we have talked of St Helens ready for the season, the proposed plans for the permanent south stand, which came later in our planning process, meant that the timing was not feasible. It's because we wanted to provide the best possible experience from day one that we've decided to play one season at the Brewery Field in Bridgend, while we get St Helens to the standard that Ospreys and our fans expect. It goes on to thank the Ravens and Bridgend Council for their support. Finally, to our incredible supporters, thank you. You've stood by us through challenging times, and we can't wait to welcome you to the Brewery Field this season and to St Helens in 2026. So that continues, and the Ospreys have also forwarded on an FAQ pack, which I'll go through as well. But I'm just interested to start off with what your thoughts on the announcement.
Well, from a purely selfish point of view, I was one of the people who paid the deposit, so I have had the correct email, and the tickets go on sale on a week on Thursday, the 21st, I think, season tickets and so on. And again, purely selfishly, as I say, I live in North Wales, so it's a long day. I've got family down in the Swansea area, but I had heard rumours that possibly there wouldn't be any option to sit between the 22s where I'd be looking to sit. I'm old in the grounds. I think we joked on the original pod that I don't want to stand up, and I wouldn't have been happy if I'd have been stuck at one end of the ground or the other in a seat. So on a purely selfish grounds, I'm happy with that, and I will be taking up the option. But I know, and I've seen some initial comments, and I'm sure you have. There will be concerns for people around travel. There will be concerns with people around parking, and there will be concerns around access to the stadium because it's an old stadium. And even though if you've got a seat, having been there for the Sale game, it is a very, very old stand. So I think we have to recognise that, and whether that has an impact on season ticket sales, only time will tell, I guess. But that's my initial thought. Those are my initial thoughts.
Okay, Josh, anything to add?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, on a rugby playing perspective, I think I'm kind of happy that we won't be returning to the Swansea.com. I just think it's too comfortable a place to come and play. I think away teams probably quite enjoy coming there. You're coming to a lovely stadium, what is essentially a Championship/Premier League standard of field, and it's a great place. It's a great place to come and play. I'd say Bridgend is a far more difficult place to come away and win, and I think that's been proven. If you look at some of the results over the last few seasons in terms of beating Sale Sharks, Edinburgh, and then the Stormers game last season was brilliant down there. The atmosphere has always been superb. It's always been really well supported, I found. So yeah, from that perspective, I think I'm really happy that we are looking to play in Bridgend next season.
What are the sort of costs implications, guys?
Sorry?
What are the costs for season tickets and so
on? In terms of prices, right, I'll go on to the FAQs, and that includes season ticket prices. I'll do it in order because otherwise I'm all over the place at the best of times.
Sorry.
So general sales starts on the 25th of August. And like I said, there's advanced sales for season members and deposit holders. In terms of where you can buy your season tickets, tickets will be available to purchase online via the Ospreys official and ticket partner, Ticket Pass, via ospreysrugby.com. They'll not be available from the Swansea City ticket office. So don't bother going down and popping into the Swansea.com stadium. They're not going to help us at all going forward. So I think for the advanced season ticket holders sale, which starts on Thursday, people should be getting emails tomorrow showing them how to set up their Ticket Pass accounts. Okay. In terms of costs, just looking at standard adult prices and full prices, again, season ticket holders will get a discount. Full price in the main stand, £300. So the best seat in the house, £300. It is the best seat in Bridgend. I would find that. It is the new family stand, £250. Terrace, £250. There's deals for 65 plus, and there's some amazing deals for 16 to 25-year-olds. And the highlights of those are the new family stand in the terrace is just £100 for the entire season for all 16 to 25-year-olds. They want to sit in the main stand, they pay in basically full price, but there's superb offers to get the younger element onto the terraces and into what we potentially, when it's relocated, the future student-y type stand, as we talked about previously. And the 16s again are cheaper again. The one thing that's really, really good news that lots of supporters have been asking for a long time, is the stage payments available now. So for no additional cost, you can spread the payments over 5 months. So if the simple maths is if you're buying £100 16 to 25 ticket, okay, you can pay for it £20 a month over 5 months. So that's great news if people are concerned about, okay, I can't afford all of this in one go. There's no option from the start to make this more affordable. So I think it's worth dropping in the prices into socials and sharing them directly. I think people want to see things like that. So again, because I've got my season ticket email, okay, I can share. I'll share the discounted rates as well. Make it clear that they are the discounted versions. We talked about why the game's been moved to Bridgend. I think that's covered in Lance's statements. I said that there's comments about the new stand, which is being put into the brewery field, which will go back to St Helens. So effectively, in the brewery field, there's 3 options. There's the main stand with reserved seating. There's the family stand with reserved seating, and there's terraces. And the terrace ticket covers whether you want to stand in the cowshed or the main terrace along the far touchline from the main stand. In terms of disabled access, there will be disabled access to the brewery field. They're investigating ways to improve the facilities for supporters, and they'll be contacting disabled season ticket holders directly with information on their priority window. Bridgend isn't good in terms of disabled facilities, so it's really good to see the Ospreys addressing this up front and recognise they need to do something and not hope they manage. And again, if you're trying to sell season tickets, I think it's really important. And again, around disabled access, if people need a personal assistant, okay, if you're disabled, there's a free personal assistant ticket still available. It's what it's what the Ospreys did in Swansea.com, and they'll continue that in Bridgend next season. So that's good to see. They're just confirming there won't be any games played in Swansea next season. So any rumours of we play the odd game at Swansea.com or go to St Helens later in the season, they've just confirmed Bridgend only. We know where we stand, and it's really good to know that. You know, if the Ospreys had aimed for a date in the middle of the season and that started drifting, that wouldn't have gone down well. If they pulled a stunt, they said, "Oh, a month before the end of the season, St Helens is ready. We're all going to move." None of that's happened. It's Bridgend all the way. Hospitality is going on sale Thursday, 21st of August, and hospitality members from last year will be getting emails or have been emailed already. Again, if you haven't had their email, contact hospitality@ospreysrugby.com. In terms of parking and access to the ground, there's limited parking at the ground. The Ospreys will be publishing travel and parking options ahead of every fixture, and we're hoping, and we're talking directly to the Ospreys. We're hoping that we can look at options for transport to and from games as well. So whether that's going to be buses running from Swansea through Neath to Talbot to Bridgend, or whether that's going to be shuttle buses from the train station back and forth the stadium, it's early doors, but Ospreys are looking at options, and Supporters Club will support as well, depending on what the Ospreys can do. There'll be a new club shop located at the brewery field. The existing club shop in the Swansea.com will remain open until further notice. And that further notice might be like the WRU sticking to 4 regions and Plan A and equal funding. We shall see. The Macron hubs in Swansea and Neath and the Rugby Head and Stone in the Quadrant will also remain open as well. So in terms of getting hold of gear, all the options you had last season, plus the brewery field shop, okay, basically it's expanded options compared to what we've had in the past for the following season. Existing season ticket members, like I said, we'll be able to start buying from Thursday. We talked about the prices. We'll share the details of all the different prices on their socials. And if you don't buy if you're an existing season ticket holder and you don't buy a 25-26 Brewery Field season ticket, you'll still get priority access to go back to St Helens for the 26-27 season as well. There'll be a second priority window behind those supporters who do buy a season for Bridgend as well. So if you buy in for Bridgend, you'll have priority access again, and early access. If you put a deposit down, you've already touched on that, haven't you, Nick? Right. If you paid for a deposit for St Helens but don't want to go to Bridgend, will you still get priority for St Helens when we move in? Yes. So either your £50 will go towards the season ticket this year, or it'll go towards your season ticket when we return back to Swansea. So in terms of the official frequently asked questions, that's what the Ospreys were expecting us to ask.
Yeah, and I think, I think there will be obviously people who will support the move. There will be others who don't. What impact do you think it will have on attendances? We know our attendances, especially since we've said we're leaving the .com, have gone down. But I still feel there's a good 1,000-1,500 people, and certainly when we get back to St Helens, who are still Osprey fans and would love to come and watch the Ospreys regularly. They're not Scarlet fans, they're not suddenly Cardiff fans. So, do you think it's a case of, look for similar attendances that we got last season and then look to improve the following year? Or do you think we might be able to drag a few more in from the east of the region?
Well, the crowds we've had in Bridgend the last couple of seasons, as Josh said, the atmosphere has been great, and the ground's either been full or look full. And I'd like to think that we should be able to build on some pretty dreadful attendances towards the end of our season. When we've got to Bridgend, it's been really well supported by the area, by Bridgend and the greater Bridgend area, as well as existing the hardened Osprey supporters who go anywhere to watch a game. We're definitely going to lose a few members, I think, in terms of season ticket holders next year, in terms of people who won't be prepared to travel to Bridgend. But you'd like to think that, the new opportunity to show we're a proper region, use the word region, in terms of encouraging people from Bridgend to come to the stadium, should hopefully balance that up, and if not, exceed what we've had for the last year.
Josh?
Yeah, totally agree. And I think if we can try and encourage people to go along from Bridgend to go along to the Ospreys games this year, hopefully then when we move back to St Helens next year in Swansea, we'll get more travelling fans from Bridgend, and it'll hopefully help bring the whole region together. And yeah, I'm also hoping that the John Barclay Lounge also gets reintroduced now we're back in Bridgend, because I have missed it.
Okay. Anything else from the official side of things, Grant?
No, that's all the official news.
Okay. I'll say,
sorry, right, and unofficially, and again, we are talking to the Ospreys via the Supporters Club, and the Ospreys are fully aware that this isn't the announcement that they would have ideally been making, and they are aware that social media there's a mix of positive and negative comments coming up on the back of today's news. Lance is looking at making another video as per the one he put out maybe 10-11 days ago, to address some of those concerns and answer the questions which are coming up at the moment.
And I think that's really important as well, that we get on the front foot with regards to communication. And those prices are very, very reasonable. And I think it's really important that we clearly communicate that. And hopefully, and certainly as a podcast, we urge fans to get along and to give the Ospreys as much support as we possibly can, because we're not going to really go into dissect it too much this evening. But of course, we're all aware that we're bound to going to be hitting a period now when the official WRU proposals are going to be made public. We hope it's public anyway, where they will be consulting over a 6-week period about the future of the 4 clubs. And they will have to, as part of that, put forward their optimal solution. So really is important that we show, as Osprey fans, and in fairness the other supporters, the other teams, they do the same. Because as a podcast family, we remain absolutely committed to 4 regional teams. It was only 3 months ago, that was the view of the WRU as well. And we were all looking forward to entering an era where we could enhance and work together to improve the situation. So we'll wait and see what comes out of that. But I've got nothing else to add this evening for this evening's podcast. Gentlemen, have you got anything you would like to add?
Yeah, just building on what you said, I think we're almost in a place of use it or lose it a little bit. I think the only thing counting against us with the WRU is potentially regional attendances at the Swansea.com. So while you still have the opportunity to support the region, I'm going to be trying to get down as much as I can next year from Gloucester. Just go down and support and cheer the boys on, because you never know what the WRU are thinking and you might not get the opportunity again. So yeah, please don't go down and support the boys while you still can.
Every supporter out there needs to back the team. Goes for all the regions, but we need to make sure that we are doing our bit as well. And it's really good to see the Ospreys, in the middle of all this turmoil and all the chaos and the news around Welsh rugby. Even this big announcement, okay, they're doing things quietly. They're doing things very professionally in terms of delivering the messages they can deliver to us.
And just regard to the supporters club, obviously, we're not going to have the .com and the Riverside Bar. Are you looking at maybe some options there, Grant?
Yeah, we've talked previously to the Ospreys around what we can do in St Helens when we get to St Helens, and the same thing stands for Bridgend. In the past, we've done some interviews in the main stand in the bar on the left, which you see the players, once they finish changing, walk through the bar of them, right? Through the middle of all the supporters. And it's normally just as well that we're having some good games, but when we play there. So what we're going to offer probably isn't going to look the same as the Riverside, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the match day experience is as good as it can be. That's part of the reason for the Osprey Supporters Club, really, is to make match day as good as we can within the facilities we've got. So yeah, we're going to leave the news around season tickets die down for a couple of days, because I'm sure the Ospreys are fairly busy with that, and then we'll start talking to them about what we can, how we can contribute to match day once we go to Bridgend for the season.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for watching, or if you're on YouTube, or if you're listening through the normal channels. Thank you for listening to the Ospreys Ziri podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. We're certainly looking forward to a little bit of time off now, and then of course some actual rugby games. So take care everyone, and try and enjoy the rest of the summer.
That was the Ospreys Diary. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.